Hello to all Toon Bites. The movie begins with a husband and wife from the fire element, and they are very happy when they arrive in the city of elements. They are amazed by everything they see that is new, like people from the water element or the earth element, and even from the air element. They are looking for any house to live in, but unfortunately, everyone refuses to help them because they are from the fire element. By chance, the husband finds an old house, and he and his wife decide to live in it. They have a little girl named Amber, and Amber grows little by little. Her father recognizes the blue flame that grants them strength and preserves their traditions. We see how Amber is happy to have her father by her side because he plays with her constantly. She is also happy because she is fulfilling her father's dream of opening a shop selling food for fire element people who are numerous in the area. Amber helps her father deliver orders to customers, and we discover that the area they live in has become designated for people of the fire element. One day, two water elementals enter the shop, and Amber gets very angry because her father hates water a lot. Amber continues to grow, and we see her training to manage the shop after her father's retirement, as he has aged and is no longer able to work as before. Her father asks her to be in charge of the store today because he is tired and needs to rest, and Amber is extremely excited. He leaves her and heads to his room. A customer comes to the store and asks Amber if there are any discounts on the candles. Amber tells him that if he buys one, he'll get the second one for free. But the customer insists on taking the gift only, and every time he takes a candle, Amber takes it back from him again. The situation continues like this until Amber loses her temper and explodes with anger. Her father comes and apologizes to the customer, then takes Amber and calms her down, reminding her that she needs to learn how to control her anger. A year goes by, and we see that Amber is still unable to control her nerves and doesn't know how to deal with customers. You feel frustrated when you burn the store, then reshape the shattered glass to return to its original state again. Amber challenges her father to break his record for the fastest delivery time. Her father asks her to look for a life partner to marry and live a happy life. But Amber doesn't care about his words, as her only dream is to manage the shop. Claude, the little boy who admires her, chases after her, but she mocks him because he is still a child, and also because he is not of the fire element. She leaves him and starts moving quickly on her motorcycle, delivering orders to the customers who are waiting for her. We see how happy Amber is as she delivers the orders to their owners, and she gets excited about breaking her father's record. After a long day of continuous work, Amber returns to the shop, happy because she broke the record, but she notices that her father has fallen asleep from exhaustion. She asks him to go to his room because she is going to close the shop. Her father is thinking that tomorrow is the day of the red dot sales, and he tells her that he will rest all day. He says that if she can manage the store tomorrow without any problems, the entire store will be hers. Her father comes out, and Amber is very happy and joyful because her father finally relied on her. The next morning, Amber opens the door for the customers, who are very numerous, and helps them get what they need. And when the customers come to pay, Amber starts losing her temper, tries to control herself, but unfortunately she can't manage to do. So she runs to the store and screams, causing chaos in the place. As a result, water is leaking from the pipes in the warehouse. Amber goes to the leak site and uses her strength to close the pipe, but she feels frustrated about what happened. A person from the water element appears, crying, and tells her that he admires a picture of her with her father when she was little. Amber is surprised and asks him about his identity and what he is doing in their warehouse. He introduces himself as Dade and was looking for the cause of the water leak in the village of fire, but the water swept him here. Amber notices that his body is athletic, but she gets annoyed when he returns to his true form, so she asks him to leave the storage room. But Dee continues to inspect the place and discovers that he is the city inspector. He gives her a fine because the pipes they use are not designed to withstand shocks. Amber is trying to tell him that her father is the one who made these pipes, the shop, and the house. Dee is surprised, starts crying, and tells her that he will give them another fine because they built the store without any permits from the city council. Amber realizes that due to the two violations, the store will be closed forever. She feels tired and tries to take the violations from him, but Dee tells her that it's his job and leaves the warehouse. Amber also graduates and runs after him. You take the subway to reach him, but unfortunately, you discover that he is in another car, not the one you are in. An idea strikes her, so she exits through the window and approaches the cart where Dee is, breaking the glass before reaching the waterfall, then quickly enters and approaches him. She tries to take the tickets from him, but the subway stops, and Did runs quickly to escape from her. Amber is chasing him in the City of Elements, which looks very beautiful. The parachute is used and flies in the air, but it burns and falls to the ground. She continues to chase Dee, who enters through a small hole in the wall, and Amber doesn't let him go and follows him in. You try to take the violations from him, but Dee comes out of the hole and Amber follows behind. Deed continues running to reach the city council. Amber tries to use hot peppers to create a fire barrier to stop Dee, but he easily passes through the barrier and enters the city council to present the violations for them to retract. When he goes out, he sees Amber, who looks very sad, and she tells him that if her father finds out the shop will close because of her, he might die. Amber trembles as she asks him to tear up the tickets. Dave says he wants to do it, but unfortunately the violations have reached the review department. He reassures her that he will help her and will enter the review department to defend her case. Indeed, they enter together into the review section, which looks like a place full of trees. Dead approaches Freen, who seems about to send the Amber violations to be executed, but they stop it at the last moment. Deed is trying to explain Amber's situation and that they should empathize with her, but every time he tries to speak, Amber tries to stop him, which makes her tired and sets the place on fire. Tears stream down her face, prompting Fran to send the violation and tell them that the store will close within a week. Amber returns to the store, saddened by what happened, and goes to the warehouse to inspect the damages. Her father is angry and asks her if the person from the water element is the reason for what happened. She admits to him that she is the reason and helps her father and mother fix the leaks. The father is very surprised because it is supposed that the fire village has not had water for years. And suddenly, the father gets tired and falls, but Amber catches up with him. The mother tells Amber about their past and informs her that they used to live with their family in the land of fire, and they were very happy with that life. Her father also built the shop he had dreamed of, but one day, a strong storm destroyed their house, the shop, and their entire life, forcing her father to search for a new place to live. He left his family and boarded the ship that brought them to the City of Elements. Amber promises her father that she will keep the shop and the blue flame no matter what. She meets Amber at the city council and tells her that she is waiting for the council chairwoman to speak with her. Dave tells her that Jill, the council chair, won't come today because she's watching a volleyball match. They go together to the stadium to meet Jill, and Amber is very nervous about the place, but she is impressed when she sees the Clouds playing ball. Amber goes with Deed to Jill, who looks very angry because the team she supports is defeated. Amber talks to Jill and tells her about herself, asking her to overlook the violations so their shop won't be closed. But Jill gets angry because she interrupts her conversation during the game and doesn't pay her any attention. Amber replies that she cannot ignore it just to watch a silly game and leave the store, which means everything to them. Closed. The situation becomes tense between them and they almost get into a fight, but their conversation is interrupted by Deed, who notices that Leeds, the player on the team Jill supports, is unable to play. Amber tells him that Leeds' father is sick, and that's why he can't focus on the match. Deed starts cheering for Leeds, which affects the entire stand and motivates everyone to cheer as well. The atmosphere is charged, and he passionately cheers for Leeds, which excites him greatly. Leeds jumps, takes the ball, and starts scoring goals. Amber admires what did because he managed to influence the entire auditorium. The match ends, and Jill is happy because the team she supports has won. Amber seizes the opportunity and tells Jill what happened to them, insisting that they cannot close her father's shop. Jill was surprised when she learned that water was reaching the fire village, and she told Amber that she had cut off the water to their village years ago to protect the people living there. Dave explains that he knows the location from where the water was drawn, and he suggests that he and Amber search for the leak. If they manage to pinpoint the problem, he will ask the repair unit for assistance in resolving it. Jill tells Amber that if they help Dee and solve the leak problem, she will cancel the violations against the store and give them a deadline until Friday. Then you leave and fly away. Amber and Did go to the fire village. Ded uses his powers to see around them and tells Amber that when he was looking for the source of the leak, the water swept him away and pulled him into the pipe that brought them to their store. They surface, and Amber uses her strength to create a balloon, and they both ride in it together. They fly over the fire village to search for the source of the leak. Deed is amazed by what Amber has created, but he finds it difficult to approach her due to her high temperature. They fly together over the village of fire, tracing the watermarks on the ground. Each of them begins to like the other, and Deed talks to Amber about himself, telling her that his father passed away, and that it was very difficult for him. While they are on the way, they pass by a park, and Amber feels sad when she sees the main building. Did asks her about the reason, and she tells him that when she was little, she went with her father to the park to see the appearances that come out of the Vicoria tree. You know that this tree grows in any environment, whether underwater or in the land of fire, and that there is no other like it in the city. When Amber and her father came to the floor to see the appearance of the Victoria tree, the guard stopped them because they were from the fire element. After a while, the entire building sank, and Amber became sad because it was her only chance to see Victoria appear. Deed is moved by Amber's words and starts to cry. He asks her how he manages the entire auditorium while she loses her temper when dealing with just one person. Dave explains to her that he is just expressing his feelings. They see the leak, descend with the balloon, and seize the opportunity when they find an opening in the gate that prevents water from reaching the fire village. A ship passes by and floods the place with water, so Did and Amber quickly run to escape. Amber Did helps and pulls him back before the water sweeps him away. They become terrified because the water is heading towards the fire village, but Amber gets an idea, so she starts throwing sandbags at the opening in the gate. Did uses his strength to stack sandbags to prevent water leakage. They work together to completely prevent the leak, and they feel great happiness for what they have accomplished. Did says to Amber that he will call the repair unit to solve the problem before Friday. Amber thanks David and bids him farewell before leaving. He asks her to meet him in the city tomorrow so they can go out together. But Amber is surprised and tells him it's impossible, then walks away. But Did tells her that he will wait for her at the hour. When the time comes, Amber tells her father that she will go to deliver the orders and leaves the shop heading to the city, where she meets Didi, who is very happy to see her. They wander together, and each begins to admire the other, and they take pictures together, but the photos are unclear, and they dance together, but they cannot touch each other. As they walk, Amber's color changes because she stands on a diamond, and every time she stands on a different diamond, her color changes. Deed becomes astonished and runs quickly towards the water, encountering a giant face, which also astonishes Amber. At night, Amber returns home very happy. The next day, we see that the water has started to leak again. Amber's father notices that his daughter no longer gets angry like before and deals with customers calmly. The pipe bursts with water and nearly extinguishes her father's blue flame, but Amber quickly shuts the pipe. Then she finds that someone has sent her flowers. She takes the flowers and goes down to the storage. Deed emerges from the water that contains the appearances and tells Amber that the sandbags couldn't withstand the water pressure, and informs her that the repair unit won't solve the leakage problem because they caused previous issues. Amber feels anxious because tomorrow is the last day of the deadline that Jill gave her. Her father comes down to the storeroom and gets very angry when he sees Didi, but Amber calms him down and tells him that Didi is someone else, not the one who damaged the water pipes. She lies to him and says he is the food inspector. Amber's father decides to test Didi and asks him to eat their hot food. Dave starts eating, but he finds it difficult due to the intense heat, and he bursts into loud screams. The surprise is that he likes the food and cools it down with water, and he finds that its taste has improved. Amber's father gets angry at Did's behavior and asks him to leave the store. After that, Amber and Did start filling sand into bags to block the gap in the gate. And Dave tries to explain to Amber that this idea won't work because they tried it before, but the water leaked again. Amber feels sad because she is unable to protect her father's shop as she promised him, and she is overwhelmed by despair and failure. Her father was supposed to retire years ago, but he hasn't because he still sees her as unprepared to manage the shop. He reassures her and explains that she did her best. When she sees that the sand has turned into glass due to its high heat, Amber uses this sand to shape it into a ball and paints her back on it. An idea strikes her, and they both go together to the place of the water leak. Amber uses all her strength to melt the sand into bags and begins to shape it to create a barrier that repairs the gate and prevents water from leaking. They feel a great happiness for what they have accomplished, and Didi Amber tells Jill that he will make her see what they have done so that she will drop the store's violations. Amber returns home and notices that her father is tired and unable to work, so she asks him to rest and offers to finish the work instead of him. Amber leaves the store, her mother watching her, and goes to meet Didi. She asks him if he has contacted Jill, and he tells her that he is waiting for her call. He asks her to come for dinner with his family, and Amber agrees and goes with him, where she meets his father, who is happy to see her. He wants to hug her but doesn't know how. Amber enters the house and she is exhausted by the warm welcome from Did's family. They laugh together at Did's childhood memories and how he was swept away by the ships. The glass water jug breaks, so Amber gathers the glass, melts it, and reshapes it into a very beautiful form. All the attendees are astonished by what Amber did. Did's mother tells Amber that most of the city is built from molten glass, which she can easily shape. Despite that, Amber sees this as just an ordinary talent. They play a game where everyone has to make the other cry. Of course, Didi's mother and brother cry very quickly, and when it's Didi and Amber's turn, it turns out she has never cried in her life. She assures him that she will lose. So Dade starts telling sad stories to Amber to make her cry, but he fails. Although the stories are very sad and moving, Amber remains unaffected and sees it as something normal. He tells her that before meeting her, he was drowning, but when he saw her, he tasted real life. He tells her that the one thing he wishes for most in his life is to be by her side and never be apart from her. Amber was very affected and cried for the first time in her life. The phone rings, and it's Jill calling. Deed knows that the idea of repairing the gate with molten glass pleased Jill, and they understand that the fines for Amber's shop have been cancelled, which makes them feel happy because it means the shop won't close. Amber left the house, calling and thanking Dee's mother for her hospitality. Deed's mother tells her that she spoke with her friend, who owns the largest glass manufacturing company in the world, and explained her talent to her. She tells her that the company is in another city, but if she joins it, she will be able to utilize her talent properly. Amber feels anxious and leaves feeling sad, wondering why Dee's mother offered her to travel to another city. She rode her bike, and Deed sat behind her. Amber tries to calm down, and David knows that his mother didn't mean anything special, but she remains tense and unable to figure out what she wants, and she speeds up on the bike. She arrives home and finally understands that she didn't want to run the shop, and that's why she was always getting angry, because it was her father's dream, not hers. Her mother arrives and screams at her for going out with someone from the water element. She understands that it's impossible for water to mix with fire, and she enters the store to conduct a test to prove her point. Amber asks Deed to light a wooden stick, and when it's Deed's turn to light the second stick, he can't because he is of the water element. But an idea strikes him, and he uses the light coming from the amp to focus it into a single point like a lens, thus managing to ignite the wooden stick. And before Amber's mother finishes the test, they hear Amber's father's voice, feel scared, and Deed quickly leaves the store. Amber's father comes in very excited and tells his daughter and wife that he will step up. He tells them that he will throw a big party so that all the customers know that Amber is in charge of managing the shop, and he shows them the new sign that bears Amber's name. Her father and mother leave to go to sleep, and Amber stays sitting next to the sign all night, crying because she feels this is not her dream. Amber goes to Deed's house and gives him the ball she made from sand, but he asks her to come with him. He takes her to the public park, they pass by the pictures, and enter the main building where the Victoria Flower is located. There, Jill welcomes them warmly, and Deed asks her if she still wants to see her back. Victoria. Generation makes a bubble of air form when you blow into the water. Amber understands that the bubble will stay underwater for 20 minutes, so they try to reassure her. Amber enters the air bubble, and Deed holds onto her, and they descend downwards. Amber is pleased because she finally sees the surface, but unfortunately, the air starts to escape from the bubble, so Deed takes it and runs quickly to get it out of the place. The bubble shrinks more, and Amber feels exhausted and afraid of drowning, but Deed asks her to stay calm as quickly as possible, and he emerges from the water at the last moment. Amber feels happy because she finally saw the back of Victoria. He gets closer to her and reaches out to touch her, but Amber tells him that this is impossible. He tells her that they cannot judge anything without trying it, but Amber sees that the water can be extinguished or evaporated, but Deed insists on touching it. He extends his hand, and despite Amber's fear, she touches his hand, and they are surprised that they are not hurt. They feel immense joy and start dancing together. Amber is happy and enjoying her time with Deed, who tells her he is lucky to have her by his side. Suddenly, Amber remembers her father, leaves Deed, and decides to return to the shop because she will be responsible for it tomorrow. Deed follows her, and he thinks she is not comfortable with it. He knows that she is free to choose her own life, so she tells him that her father worked hard all his life to build the shop and raise her, and that she cannot simply abandon it. She feels tired and tells him that she will not abandon her family, who took care of her and raised her, for her father. You enter the subway. All the customers are gathered in front of the store to celebrate Amber because she will be taking over the management of the store. Her father comes and thanks them, presents them with an ember, expresses his great pride in her, shows them the new sign, and gives them the blue torch that belongs to his family. Before Amber takes the torch, Deed comes and tells her that there are many reasons preventing them from getting together. It indicates that they were able to touch each other without getting hurt. He makes a mistake and says that Amber was the one who accidentally destroyed the pipes, yet he continues speaking and confesses his love for her. Amber is shocked and tells him that she doesn't love him and asks him to leave. Deed complies with her request and leaves her the glass ball, then leaves the place. Amber's father feels tired because his daughter fell in love with someone from the water element. Amber feels frustrated because Dave had lied to her, and he realizes that she was the reason for the water leak. He knows he won't be accepted in the city, so he enters the shop. Amber takes her motorcycle and goes to sit alone in the city, feeling sad about what happened. The gate is subjected to water pressure. A tower falls and destroys the bridge, and the water rushes with great force. Fortunately, Amber sees what happened, so she starts driving quickly on her motorcycle to warn the people in Fire Village and save its residents. While Deed is bidding farewell to his family because he will travel and leave the City of Elements, he changes his mind when he learns that the waters will flood the Village of Fire. Amber runs quickly to get away from the water, warning everyone she meets, but the water reaches her motorcycle, forcing her to jump over a car to avoid harm. Her father and mother are watching from a piece of wood to stay away from the water, and Amber's father tries to enter the shop to get the blue flame before it goes out, but her mother stops him. Amber moves from one place to another, successfully enters the shop, but discovers that water has started leaking from the door. Dee enters through the keyhole to help them stop the leak, and Amber is happy to see him despite the words she had said to him. She asks him to hold the door and goes to use sandbags to form a glass barrier to prevent water from reaching the blue flame. But the door is breaking, and water is leaking from everywhere. Due to the water pressure, the barrier made by Amber is destroyed, and the torch begins to move. They succeed in keeping part of the flame. Amber uses its power to seal all the places where water has leaked, and due to the intense heat, Dee starts to boil and evaporate. They come up with the idea of trying to escape through the chimney, but the debris blocks the chimney and there is no way out. Amber is trying to remove the debris to get out, but Dead stops her and tells her that if she does that, the water will drown them. Amber is sad and crying because she fears they will all drown, but Dee reassures her, takes her hand, and tells her that he lived the happiest days of his life with her. She confesses to him that she loves him, and Dee feels immense happiness and hugs her. The waters dry up, and the place where Amber was opens up, and they write that Dee has evaporated and is no longer present. Amber cries and goes to her father to tell him that the shop was destroyed because of her and that Dee died to save her. She confesses the truth to him and says she doesn't want to manage the shop because it was his dream, not hers, and she hands him the torch. Her father tells her that her happiness is much more important than the store, which affects Amber. They hear Dee's crying, and when Amber enters the place where he was, she discovers that the ceiling has started to leak water. An idea comes to her, and she starts telling sad stories, and she hears Dee's voice crying. The droplets falling from the ceiling continue, and the droplets of water that evaporated from the dew are collected in the vessel. Dee returns to his normal form, which makes Amber very happy. Everyone greets, and after a while, the store returns to how it was. Amber's father retires after hiring employees to manage the shop in his place. Amber tells her parents that she will travel to another city to train in using her talent, and she leaves on the ship with Dee.